Hello, 5th grade. This is Chapter 8, Lesson 5, page 577. Least common multiple. A multiple of a number is the product of the number and any other whole number, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Multiples that are shared by two or more numbers are called common multiples. The least common multiple, LCM, is the least multiple, other than 0, common to sets of multiples. So what does all that mean? We will find out. So I think of multiples as being like the answer to multiplication problems. So like I know that 2 times 6 makes 12. So 12 is one of the multiples of 2 and 6. They both go into that. But 3 times 4 makes 12, so 12 is a multiple or an answer that 3 and 4 also go into. So that's how I think about it. And we're trying to find the smallest multiple that that two numbers will go into. So the least common, the smallest. Here we go. Example 1. Tom hits golf balls at the driving range every 3 days. Practices putting every 4 days and goes golfing every 6 days. If he did all 3 activities today, in how many days will he do all 3 again? So, Tom likes to golf, so he hits golf balls at a driving range at a place where you just go hit golf balls every 3 days. He goes to the driving range. That's where you stand at the end of a line and everyone hits forward and you try not to, get in the way of anyone else's ball, and you probably won't if you stay in a straight line. He practices putting every 4 days. Side note, putting, trying to get it into the hole directly from close range usually. And goes golfing every 6 days, the actual game every 6 days. If he does all 3 activities today, like on one day, how many days will it be until he can do all 3 activities again, like that he's done all 3? When will that happen again? In how many days will he do all 3 activities again, like on the same day? Because he's got a rotating schedule. To figure that out, you want to find and circle the least common multiple of 3, 4, and 6, the numbers we are working on. What is the smallest thing that they all go into? And we're going to do that by listing non-zero multiples of each number. So when you're memorizing your facts for multiplication, you'd say like 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 3 is 12. I'm going to say this number first. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 9 is 27. And then I usually like to end on 3 times 10 is 30. Hopefully we won't have to go farther than that. For the 4s, I can do these a little faster. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8, and I'm just going to keep listing them. 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, I almost made a 2, and then 40. That's the multiples up to 4 times 10. Let's list the 6s. 6 times 1 is 6. 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, and 60. Okay, I listed all the multiples. I probably wouldn't even have to go quite that far. but we've got them all listed up to the 10 times that number. And we're going to see what's the smallest one that they all have in common, the least common multiple. Let's see, I've got 3, nope. Is there 4? Nope. 6, almost. 9, nope. 12. Hey, they all have 12. 12 is the number that they all have in common. So I'm going to circle that with a marker just so we can find it. That's the first number and the least common multiple, the smallest and least common of all the multiples that they go into. So Tom will complete all 3 activities again in 12 days. That's not quite 2 weeks. So in 12 days, he will have another day where he does all 3 activities in one day. That's interesting. Check. The number line shows on which days all 3 activities will be completed. So this is another way of looking at it. He starts on, day 0 today, doing golf, putting, and the driving range, all on day 0. And then they laid it out. The driving range was every 3 days. The putting was every, let's see what that is, 4 days. And playing the actual game of golf was every 6 days. And they laid that out. And so visually, you can see the next time that all 3 of those activities will happen on the same day is on day 12. So that's a nice way to see that also. It proves that least common multiple works. Okay, turning the page. Here we go. Trying to figure out how to line this up, sorry. Okay, here's another way. Find the LCM of 15 and 40. Write the prime factorization of each number. So we've done this before. 15 is equal to 3 times 5. And it's already prime because 3 and 5 are prime. 40 can be made by multiplying 4 times 10. 4 is broken down into 2 times 2. And 10 is created with 2 times 5. So these are all prime now, 2, 2, 2, and 5. Find the common prime factors. What do they have in common? For 15, they have 3 and 5. We're just sort of rewriting them. For 40, we had 2, 2, 2, and 5. The only common prime factor is, the only thing in common is 5. Find the product of the prime factors using each common prime factor only once and any remaining factors. So this is the one they have in common, and they only want us to multiply it one time into this group and find the product of the prime factors. So we're going to list all of them using each common factor, prime factor, only once. So these can only be used once, the 5, and any remaining factors. So we can list the 5 because that was the one that was repeated, just for the fun of it. Or we could have put it at the end, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to do 2, 2, 2, and 3. Now I put 5 first, but technically I think if I had to multiply this, I'd prefer to start with the little ones. So I think I'm going to do that right now. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 5 is 40, which is a nice even number. And then 40, which all of these make, is 40, times the 3 that was left. I know 3 times 4 is 12 with a 0. Add the 0 on. So their lowest common multiple that that 40 and 15 would go into is 120. That's a big number. But that's the smallest thing that they would both have in common as something that they would multiply out to be. Something times 15 makes 120, and something times 40 makes 120, and that's the first time that they would have a multiple in common, an answer in common. Okay, let's continue. Sorry, the table's shaking. Find the lowest common multiple for each set of numbers by first listing non-zero multiples of each number. So this, we're not doing the prime factor thing, we're doing the listing. Okay, I'll do one of these and then move on to the other page. Or will I? Let's move on to the other page. Well, no. Okay, I'll do this one. It should be quick. Okay, I'm going to list these. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. I'm going to go a little further. 24. My brain is kind of freezing. 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, and 60. Going off track a little bit. For the tens, we've got 10, 20, this is easy, 30, 40, 50, 60. Do we have one in common yet? Because I would like to quit. Let's see, is there anything in common yet? Do they match up yet? Ooh, they do. We've got 30 and 30. 30 is the lowest common multiple, the lowest thing that they both go into. So 30 and 30. So the LCM, the lowest common multiple of 6 and 10 is 30. I could have kept listing them, but I'm looking for the smallest one anyway, so that worked. Well, let's go over to this page and we will try on the next one, we'll try using that prime factorization method. The thing with that is you need to remember that you can only write the one that they both have one time into the grouping. So that takes a little memorization. Here we go. Let's do I'll do number 6, 12 and 15. I'll do this with listing, and then when we get to multiple ones, this one I think I will use prime factorization. So let's try number 6. We have 12 and 15. So for number 6 we have 12 and we have 15. And for these, because they're small, I'm going to list their multiples and see what the first one is that they both have in common. Wow, this could prove to be tricky because my 12s don't come out that fast, or my 15s. Let's see. See how many I can list. This would actually be something I might actually want to do prime factorization on. But, oh well, here we go. For the 12s, I'm going to pull up a calculator just because I want to make a point. In case I need it, I'll have a calculator. Okay, so we've got 12. I should know these, but I never worked on them that hard in life. 24, 36, 48, sorry, 60 would be next. 72. Let's do some 15s and see if we find one yet. 15 times 1 is 15, 15 times 2 is 30, 15 times 3 is 45, 15 times 4 is 60. Yay, I see one right away. So I'm going to stop listing there. The least common multiple that 15 and 12 have is 60. That's the smallest thing they both go into. So the LCM for those two numbers is 60. The lowest common multiple of 12 and 15 is 60. All right, you'll be using these for other operations in the future. So let's go on. Number 11 is where I want to start. We have three numbers we're comparing, 15, 25, and 75. Let's see what that looks like, and let's use our prime factorization method. So number 11, we have 15, 25, and 75. Let me just make sure you can see that on the camera. I have to pull it up a little bit. Here we go. 3 times 5 makes 15. 25 is 5 times 5, and 75 is 3 times 25. Bring your 3 down and break down your 25 into the factors of 5 times 5. So these are all prime. Now, you can list it sideways. I guess we'll do that. 15, the prime factorization is 3 times 5. For 25, the prime factorization is 5 times 5, or you could say 5 to the second power. 75, the prime factorization is 3 times 5 times 5. So with another color marker, I'm going to attempt to find the factors that they have in common and the ones that repeat, or in common, and others that don't repeat. Because to find the lowest common multiple, you need to find the product of the prime factors using each common prime factor only once, and any remaining factors you need to use for sure. So I'm going down my line and I'm looking for what repeats. So I have a 3 here, and there's a 3 here. I can only use it one time because it shows up in both numbers. That's in common. So I'm going to start out with a 3 for my LCM. This is going to end up off the screen. LCM. So I've got 3 so far. And now I'm going to look for more. I've got a 5. I've got a 5. I've got a 5. So I can only use that one time. And then I have one more 5. I've got a 5 here, and it repeats here. So because those 2 repeat, I can only use it one more time. And that's it. That gets a little confusing. So if there were any numbers that didn't repeat at all, they would get listed for sure. The ones that show up like in more than one number, you can only use them one time down here. So these 2 I wrote one time. These 2 I put together, and that one time. And then finally there were 2 more left, so I wrote them one time. This all together makes 25 times 3, which ironically is what we had up here for 75. It is equal to 75. So the lowest common multiple for 15, 25, and 75 is actually 75. It's the smallest thing that all 3 numbers go into, the smallest multiple. So that gets a little tricky. You really have to work on that, finding the ones that repeat and only writing them once. And if they don't repeat at all, they definitely get listed in the prime factorization. You can just keep going, Jackie. I'm just plugging along. I gotta wrap this up. Let's see. Let's do another one. My daughter's cleaning up rabbits. Bunnies in the basement. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to try, let's try number 12. Number 12 looks like this. 9, 12, and 15. So for number 12, straighten up my board, we've got 9, 12, and 15. And this is number 12. We're trying to find their least common multiple. 9 is made by the factors 3 times 3. 12 is made, I'm going to say 3 times 4. That ends up, 3 gets repeated, like brought straight down, not repeated, but just bring it down and break down the 4 into 2 times 2. And then 15 is equal to 3 times 5. And those are prime numbers already. So here we go. I sort of like seeing them sideways like this, like horizontally. So let's see if we could do it this way and find the ones that need to be rewritten and what have you. Okay, looking across, what do they have in common? They all have a 3 for sure, so I'm going to, I think I'll circle it. This 3, and this 3 can only be used one time because it shows up on all of 3 numbers. Then I go on. I have a 3 here, I don't have another 3 here, and I don't have another 3 here. I need to use that one down here, so I will write it. Okay, so that one's done. I need to use that. Then I go and move over. I've got 2 2s that don't exist here and don't exist here. They're both going to get used in my lowest common multiple, LCM. And then, so they're used, I'm going to circle them. Then I have a 5, but it doesn't show up anywhere else, so that needs to be used. We're going to multiply those all together to find out what the final lowest common multiple is. So let's go over here. 5 times 2 is 10. That's 10. 10 times 2 makes 20. 20 times 3 is 60. I'm working my way across. 60 times 3, that was left. 6 times 3 is 18, and then you add the 0. The final LCM for 9, 12, and 15 is 180. That's pretty big. But that's the smallest thing that all 3 of those numbers can go into. Isn't that interesting? Okay, let's try another 1 or 2, and we'll be done. Maybe one more. Let's see if there's a word problem. Okay, we'll try number 15. This is going to be easier because there's only 2 numbers, but this could be an example of lowest common multiples being needed. So, he's over here. Juan goes to the bowling alley every 3 weeks. I'm going to underline that. I'm going to need that data. 3. Percy goes to the bowling alley every 5 weeks. If Juan and Percy meet the first time they go bowling, how many weeks will it be before they see each other at the bowling alley again? That's like the one we did on the first page. Let us find out. So what's the lowest common multiple of 3 and 5? Those are such little numbers compared to what we just did. So number 15. You have 3 and you have 5. This will not require prime factorization because 3 and 5 are already prime. So I'm just going to list some factors. 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 15, 18, 24. I'm running out of space. I think we could quit though. Let's do 5. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. Oh, I see something in common. I'll do one more for fun. 5 times 4 is 20. The first thing that I see that they have in common is 15. That was the first multiple that they both have, that they both go into. So it's the lowest common multiple. So that means that Juan and Percy, Juan goes every 3 days, Percy goes every 5 days to the bowling alley, or weeks, that is, sorry. They will see each other again on the 5th week. So I'll just put J and P will meet at the bowling alley again on the 15th week. So if Juan goes every 3 weeks and Percy goes every 5 weeks, they will not run into each other again until the 15th week. So that's pretty long. Okay, I hope that helps you feel like this, when you have three of them that you're working with, that's the trickiest. I think I'll do one more, going backwards. Okay, let's do one more just in case. How about we try number 14, 6, 7, and 9. What would they have in common? This is number 14. I'll erase. I need more room just in case. Number 14. We have 6, 7, and 9. Well, I wanted to do prime factorization. Once again, these numbers are pretty small. So we'll see what this looks like. 6 is made by multiplying 2 times 3. Those are the factors that make 6. 7 is just 7 times 1, so that's already prime. I don't even need to like recreate that. It's just 7. 9 is a multiple made by multiplying the factors 3 times 3. Okay, so 7 was prime, so we didn't have to break that down. We've got 6 is made with 2 times 3 as their prime factorization as its, and 3 times 3 is the prime factorization for 9. We need to see what repeats and what does not, and list it for the LCM, the lowest common multiple. Okay, going across and looking at my work, I have a 2. No 2 there, no 2 there. I have to use it. Okay, that's done. Put a little multiplication sign. I have a 3 here. I don't have one there, but I do have one here. Well, I'll use this one. So this is done, and this is done. I'll write it one time. I have a 7, but I don't have a 7, and I don't have a 7. That needs to be used. These are going to be not like in a pretty order. I like to go from smallest to largest, but we're just going to use it because I want to use it because it's sitting there. Finally, we had an extra 3. We need to use that 3. So this has been used and that's been used. They've all been used. Now, I'll rewrite them in smallest to largest just so it's listed in proper order for the future when you start making exponents out of these. And now I need to multiply them all together. I'm going to start with the smaller numbers. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. And then times 7. So all of this makes 18. And then times 7. I have to do the work. 7 times 8 is 56. Carry the 5. 7 times 1 is 7. Plus 5 is 12. The lowest common multiple, the LCM, of 6, 7, and 9 equals 126. That's the smallest number that they will all go into, which is really amazing considering that those aren't very large numbers, but their lowest common multiple is 126. That's the first time they'll have something in common when they're being multiplied out. Okay, I hope that helps you. See you in the next lesson.